Yeah, for me, I wanted to just share some of the things I've been learning from our class. I think there's three main things for me that I feel like I'm going to be taking away from our last kind of 10 weeks together. I would say the first one is just the concept of the quadrilateral. I think that was really helpful for me to be able to have some categories to be able to think about things in. As a white American, I would say that I don't often think about these categories when it comes to my own story of who I am. Obviously, American culture and gender are things that I do think about, but oftentimes, because of my white privilege, I don't have to think about racialization. Asian heritage is not part of my story, and while migration is way back in my family story, it's not really something that we talk about of what that was like for our family because it's so many generations back. So I think being able to have these categories has been really helpful for me to be able to put things into some boxes to at least get the concepts first. And I really find that will be helpful for me as I think about and listen to other people's stories, especially from my Asian American brothers and sisters, that these are things that they are always looking through, and these are always lenses at play that might not be at play for me. So that was the first point. I would say the second point to take away from me from this class is just the opportunity and the richness that comes from getting to be in a place where I'm not the dominant culture. I live in Iowa is very easy, and most days I am in places of being the dominant culture. And the opportunity, I think, to be in this class has been so helpful for me to learn more about what the Asian American experience is like here in the US. Now people live in different parts and everyone's story is different. But I think to be able to read everybody's posts and to be able to hear the questions that they're asking and the ways that they're processing and learning things has been really humbling for me. And I feel like it's just been such a privilege to get to know some of you a little bit better from what you've posted. But I think even in that, for me, the takeaway is to listen, and to keep listening, and to not jump to drawing conclusions, but to ask questions for more clarity when I don't understand, since that's not my experience. So it's just been a good reminder for me to get into more places where I can listen to people's experience that's far different than my own, and to try to understand what that's like. And then I think the last thing for me too is that it's one thing for these things to be concepts and for us to kind of talk about them at an academic level, which is what we do in our graduate class. But the power of story, I think, is really important in this too. It's one thing to start with a concept and for it to just be a theory, but it gets so much more complex when we put it into the power of someone's story. So I the book, the At Home in Exile, I feel like I'm going to read that many, many times because it brings together so many of these different concepts into one place, and they play out differently. And I could just think I know things because I know these concepts, but when it comes into someone's story, there's so many more nuances in that as well. And one thing doesn't always mean the other thing in another person's story. So I feel like that's another one of the big takeaways from this class is know the concepts, understand how they could work out, but you need to keep listening to how people are processing, what they're understanding about themselves and their own stories, and then make sure that it is within people's stories that you continue to learn these things. So just want to thank everyone in the class. Thanks for the opportunity to get to be part of this and to understand a bit more about who you are. It's been a good quarter. So thanks, everyone.